Hello, everybody, and welcome to English Grammar with Amaya Sir. And we are covering chapters from the SSC 10th Standard textbook, and we are on to Unit 3.2. Last time in the last lecture, we saw the first part, and here we are now going to bring the lesson to an end. So, this is the second and the final part of the Unit 3.2. Let's dive straight into the topic, and this was the last that we studied. So let us now continue, and as usual, let me remind you that when it is the explanation time, you must not start jotting down everything. Listen to the explanation. I will definitely at the end of each slide give you a couple of minutes to make your notes. Okay, so 2 or 3 minutes, we'll see, depending on the content in the slide. So let me just tell you what it was. We are doing the chapter where the author had the opportunity to meet the great Albert Einstein, and Einstein is going to take some efforts to make the man realize that he is not tone deaf. Well, he thought he was tone deaf, but Albert Einstein will make him realize that he is not tone deaf, and he has definitely got the ability to appreciate music. All right, having said that, we will now dive into the topic, and this was, as I said, the last slide that we dealt with, and I will get ready with my marker. All right, so let me start reading the first part of the first slide. He smiled. "You are not tone deaf," he said. I told him this was one of my favorite songs, something I had heard hundreds of times, so it didn't really prove anything. "Nonsense," said Einstein. "It proves everything. Do you remember your first arithmetic lesson in school? Suppose at your very first contact with numbers, your teacher had ordered you to work out a problem in, say, long division of fractions. Could you have done it?" So here Albert Einstein is trying to tell the fellow that you are not tone deaf as you think you are, because I feel that you have the ability to understand music, but of course it requires practice. So Albert Einstein is giving him the example that, let's say at your school, for your very first arithmetic lesson, if your teacher had asked you to work out a problem in long division of fraction, I'm sure you would not be able to do it. So that is the same with the music. So more you know and more time you give it, you're definitely going to enjoy and appreciate it more. Okay, so let us find out what we can study here. The first thing that comes to my mind is the question tag. You are not tone deaf. And now here I have presented you with options. So we have to add a correct question tag here. Is it "you are not tone deaf, aren't you?" Or is it "you are not tone deaf, are you?" What do you think, guys? I'm not going to give you a countdown timer for this. All right, I hope you've made your choice, and indeed the option B is the right option. You are not tone deaf, are you? The reason is, when it's negative, you got to make the auxiliary positive. It's positive to negative and vice versa. Remember that. Could you have done it? This is a rhetorical question, and previously in the last lecture we saw this. Rhetorical, it doesn't really require an answer. It is clearly, it is more of an expression than a question. So could you have done it? So what Einstein was saying is you could not have done it. So this is interrogative. They'll ask you to make it assertive. So the answer will be, the question is could you have done it? The answer will be you could not have done it. Okay, I will probably give you 2 minutes for this particular slide. Make sure that you jot down both the entries, and you could also make a note of the point that I made for adding the correct question tag. The point I made was that if the auxiliary is negative, the tag is positive, the auxiliary needs to be changed from positive to negative and negative to positive. So that's why in the case we just saw, the option B was the right option. A minute and a half more, and I hope you recollect that rhetorical was discussed in the last lecture. Something that doesn't require an answer. It's a question, but more of an expression. Here I would also want you to make a note of the line, it proves everything. Now this could also be posed as a question tag, and because you have proofs with S, the verb is with S, your question tag will be doesn't it. Very important S. Doesn't it? So you can definitely include this as a question tag thing, and the answer here will be doesn't, because here you have S. So doesn't it? Something like that. Make sure that you make proper notes, guys. Doesn't it? And it is doesn't because of this S, guys. Proves, the verb is with the S. So doesn't it? And then there will be a question mark. Be careful with the spelling of does. It is D-O-E-S, not D-O-S-E. Certainly there will be some dose by a doctor. D-O-E-S, N''T, doesn't. Okay, about 5 seconds more and then we shall proceed. Great. Time is up. Let's head back and proceed. Okay, so here we go. Let me read that. The man said, no, of course not. Exactly, said Einstein. It's like learning maths. You have to learn addition and subtraction in order to do multiplication and division. Now I'm playing something a little more advanced. It was John McCormack singing The Trumpeter. Sing that back, he ordered. Okay, so let's see. Einstein here made the point that you cannot do everything as soon as you do it or try it for the first time. And the man agreed. He said, no, of course not. I could not do long fraction immediately. So Einstein said, that's exactly my point. So then he said that now after this, I'm going to play something a little more advanced. So he has chosen for the track, The Trumpeter by John McCormack. And then he ordered the man to sing that back. So what's there to study? First of all, this is the Irish singer that Einstein is referring to, John McCormack. You can Wikipedia him more. And The Trumpeter is his track. I am playing something a little more advanced. They will ask you to identify the tense. Now because it is am and playing with the ing, you will know that it is present continuous tense. Guys, I want you to understand continuous is spelled C-O-N-T-I-N-U-O-U-S, not N-O-U-S, N-U-O-U-S. We saw that in the last lecture. So this is the present continuous tense. And there is this important notice. This is that it is chord mixing, the use of chord mixing, because you can see that the trumpeter is not exactly a proper English word. It just represents the track. So this can, because it's a change in the font, you can refer to this as chord mixing. It's a compound word. Okay, sing that back. Identify the type of sentence. Here this is an imperative sentence because it is an order. Okay, I want you to understand this. So whenever it's an order, whenever it is an expression, whenever it is a suggestion, it is an imperative statement. And by the way, sing that back. If this is posed as change the voice, then you can definitely start with let, because the first word is action word. So let that be sung back by you. That will be the answer. All right, now time for me to start your countdown timer, and you will have 2 minutes. Your time starts. Please make accurate notes. I am playing. The contraction I''M is I am. And I hope you recollect from the last lecture, we discussed this, that if it is for question tag, am changes to aren't. There is no word like amn't. For am, the question tag is aren't. I hope you answered before I reveal the answer. And of course, the Irish singer John McCormack. You can Wikipedia and find out more about him. So now Einstein wants the young fellow to listen to his music. And I said that it is an imperative statement because here sing that back is an order. So anytime you have an order, you have a request, you have a suggestion, command, it is an imperative sentence. So they will ask you to identify the type. You can write it as imperative. Also, while you make notes, you can write down what I said. The answer was for the change the voice. So sing that back. They'll ask you to change the voice. Because the first word is an action word, you can start with let. So let that be sung back. That will be the answer for change the voice should that question be asked. Very important is that you know what to do. I hope you're jotting it down properly. Another 10 seconds. Now, time is up, and I hope that you probably are jotting everything in the manner that I want. Also, keeping in mind the color coding. It's very important, guys. Follow the color coding. Let's proceed to the next one. Yeah, let me read that. And we went on from level to higher level until he was playing just music without words. I was amazed that this great man was paying complete attention to me so that I could learn something new. It was as if I was the most important person in his world. Suddenly he got up and turned off the gramophone. Now, young man, he said, we are ready to listen to Bach. I hope you remember that we studied about the great composer Bach the last time. And well, now here, the first thing that you should study is this degree. Such a lovely example. I was the most important person in his world. Now here you have it in the superlative degree because you have this part, the most important. That tells you that this is superlative. They will ask you to change it to positive and to the comparative degree. So the positive begins with no other because there is no one of the in the question. So no other person in his world was as important as I. And for comparative, you will have I was more important than any other person in his world. Remember, it is his world, not this world. So that is a point to be noted. And good thing is we studied both, changing it into both the remaining degrees. Now this is also nice. He got up and turned off the gramophone no sooner than. Here, people do make the correct start with no sooner, but they fumble at this next word, which is did. Now I don't want my students to go wrong, and that's why it's important to remember that if it is the past tense and there is no auxiliary, you will use the word did. So no sooner did he get up. Now in the question you had got, but that got will change to get because you use did. That is the point to be noted, guys. No sooner did he get up, got changed to get. Point to be noted, guys. No sooner did he get up than he turned off the gramophone. Now this ed does not change. The second part does not change. Just because you use did, the first part, the verb turns to the present form because you already used did. The latter part after than, of course, does not change. Everything remains the same. Now here I'm going again giving you options and you got to choose the correct infinitive. Is it A, to listen, or is it B, to bark? What do you think is the correct infinitive form? Is it A, to listen, or is it B, to bark? And I hope you have made your choice. The correct answer is to listen. So why is to bark not an infinitive? Is because it has to be to plus verb. Very important, guys. It has to be verb. To plus listen is verb. But if you say to plus bark, it is not a verb. That's why to listen is an infinitive and to bark is not. You see both of them in this sentence here, guys. To listen, to bark. So the correct infinitive is to plus verb. So to listen. It's very important. Time for me to start your countdown. And there the countdown starts. I hope that you would be able to jot down everything in the time allotted, guys. And the important thing is the degree. The most important part I hope that you realize in this slide was the degree. Another thing is, we did this with no other, but there are instances where you have the part one of the in the question, one of the. So let us say I was one of the most important people in his world, then it will change with very few for the positive. We will deal with such examples. Of course, in the textbook there are such examples. At the moment, just jot this down. Study everything properly. Make proper notes. That's the secret recipe to doing well. And I have no doubt that the no sooner than example is also quite notable because of the auxiliary did. He got up, so it's past tense. So no sooner did he get up, got changed to get, than he turned off the gramophone. If you remember, we saw what a gramophone is last time we did discuss this part from the lesson. About 40 odd seconds. And here you will appreciate that Einstein is really paying complete attention. Why? So that the writer could learn something. And we have discussed this in the previous lecture, that this part so that actually is the start, the subordinator, and it introduces the adverb clause of what? You should remember that. Yes, adverb clause of purpose. So you could also make a note of that quickly. So that I could learn something new is adverb clause of purpose. Your time is up and time for us to go to the next slide. I hope you made a note of that so that, guys. Let us proceed. We went down and sat in the hall. Just allow yourself to listen, he said. That's all there is to it. I have heard that piece many times since that day, but I am never alone. I am sitting beside a small man with a shock of untidy hair and a pipe in his mouth. He has eyes that are unusually warm. When the concert ended, I too was able to clap sincerely. Our hostess came towards us. We both stood up. Guys, lot of things to observe. Well, first thing is the pause here. There is this dash. This one is not a hyphen. This one is a dash. I too was able to clap sincerely. So earlier, the writer was always applauding because he thought people are appreciative. So I think it's the end of the piece he's playing, so let me also applaud. But now he's clapping sincerely, having understood the piece of music. Next, you will observe this important word here, beside. Now why I'm saying it's important is because people confuse beside and besides. So we will discuss that, but first let's see what else is there to study. We went down and sat in the hall. Again, no sooner than. In the previous slide, we had an example. Again, we went down suggests that it is past tense, guys. So no sooner, and then you will use did. No sooner did we go. Very important, very important. Went suggests that it is past tense. And so no sooner did we go down than we sat in the hall. That is all there is to it. So what will be the negative? The negative is there is nothing more to it. If that is all there is to it, means there is absolutely nothing more to it. Nice example for make negative. We both stood up. Add a question tag, and this is past tense. So we both stood up, didn't we? And by the way, didn't is the right sound to make. It's a very important thing I want to share with you. I have often heard students say didn't. They say didn't. It is not didn't. D-I-D-N apostrophe T is didn't. The second D is not silent. It's not didn't. It's didn't. Didn't. Remember, and please say it correctly if you have that habit. We'll get rid of that. What's there apart from that? Yes, I was talking about this word beside. So I want to discuss this. People often confuse beside and besides. So I'm going to come on cam to clarify this. Beside is next to. So I am seated beside him, or I am sitting beside him. Besides is apart. So everybody has passed besides you. That is besides. So besides is apart from, and beside is next to, adjacent, adjoining, beside. I hope the difference is clear. So let's use the notepad for better understanding. We always do that. So let us now write down examples. So what I just said was, if you have to use beside, it will be something like this. I am sitting beside my father. I am sitting beside my father. And if you have to learn besides, or I have to use besides in a sentence, everyone besides you likes the idea. So everyone besides, beg your pardon, everyone besides you like the idea. So here everyone is, we are not talking about everyone who's seated besides. Apart from you, everybody likes the idea. I want you to make a note of this. Very important, guys. Okay. So beside and besides, there is a difference. And now, I hope you're done with this. And now we will go back to our PowerPoint presentation, and I will start with the timer right away. So I will, these 2 minutes are not just for this these notes that you see here, but also for that beside and besides entry. Please make sure that you are making accurate notes. I hope you have the textbook also in front of you, because while I read, it is better you have the textbook handy, just in case you want to jot down anything. Beside and besides. There are many other words where the S matters. Good and goods. There's a difference, right? Good is a quality. Goods are your commodities, products. That's why on the transport, the truck transport, you'll have written the words written goods carrier, not a good carrier. Yet again, in this slide, we had the example for no sooner than. I hope things are getting interesting and that you are learning. All right, another 25 seconds. Shall then proceed. I hope that after this you remember that you have to write down the examples beside and beside. I will probably put the word pad for the last 15 seconds. There you go. Make your notes. Beside and besides. There's a difference. I'm sitting beside my father. Everyone besides you likes the idea. There you may put a comma. Everyone besides you, comma, likes the idea. All right, time for us to go back to our lesson, and let's bring the lesson to a conclusion. Okay, so I will start reading as usual. Stop writing, focus. I am so sorry, Dr. Einstein, she said, giving me a cold look, that you missed so much. I'm sorry too, he said. My young friend here and I, however, were engaged in the greatest activity of which a human being is capable. She looked puzzled. Really? She said. And what is that? Einstein smiled and put his arm across my shoulders, opening up the frontiers of beauty. Guys, the lesson has ended very beautifully. The hostess, remember, she wanted them down in the for the concert. There was a pianist, so she came up and sarcastically said that, I'm sorry, Dr. Einstein, you missed a lot. She was being sarcastic, by the way. She didn't mean that. And Einstein also said that it's okay, I'm sorry too. But here he calls the writer a young friend. Imagine Einstein referring to you as his friend. Quite an honor. My young friend here and I were engaged in the greatest activity of which a human being is capable. And she looked, if you remember, I talked about the t sound. She looked puzzled and she said, what is that, Dr. Einstein? And then he said the most important part, opening up the frontiers of beauty. Guys, this line is the most important one. Frontiers means borders or limits. And cold look here, as I said, is unfriendly. She was being sarcastic. I have already said that. She said it with sarcasm. She looked puzzled. Making it interrogative is our task. Didn't she look puzzled? Now there are two things here. The first thing is the sound, didn't. Remember, we just discussed it. And because you have used didn't, the word looked with ed will change to look. So didn't she look puzzled? And don't forget to add the question mark at the end. And the last line, which I have already shown with a tick, is the most important one because this is the punchline of the lesson. So what's the lesson about? It's where Einstein was trying to do what? Opening up the frontiers of beauty. He made the writer realize that he's not tone deaf, and yes, he could appreciate beautiful melodious music. Beautiful lesson, beautiful indeed. And I'm going to start your countdown timer. And there it starts. Please make accurate notes and write down that, note down that last line, opening up the frontiers of beauty. This is the punchline of the lesson, the message of the lesson. Also, you can make a note of the tone initially used by the hostess, full of sarcasm. That's why cold look has been used by the writer, which means unfriendly. In the previous slide, you had the word warm. The eyes were unusually warm, full of emotions, full of friendly nature, full of warmth. Amazing that Einstein is referring to him as a young friend. Here again, you could say that there's a superlative degree at use, guys, because of the line, we were engaged in the greatest activity of which a human being is capable. This actually concludes the lesson, and we will now, of course, go ahead and see the textual exercises. There will be homework. Some part will be the homework, and we will definitely cover up some part as our lecture work or classwork, as we can dare say. I'm at my house, but yeah, classwork. Half a minute more. Great. If you are done, make sure that there's no overconfidence. So make sure you have all the entries with proper color coding. Well, some of the students have told me that they just jot down in a notepad, and then when they have leisure time, they actually do that in the textbook with the proper color coding, so that in haste there's no mistake on their part. So this is also a nice way of doing it. Jot down in the notepad and later make it fair in the textbook. Okay, so the time is up, and well, we will now go ahead and deal with some textbook exercises. This is the first one. Rewrite the following sentences. Insert appropriate phrases in their proper form. Guys, what I want you to understand is that you have to use these phrases provided, but you have to use those phrases in the proper form. So you will have to probably change get to got if it's past tense. If you want the ing form, then you'll have to write coming. Give off could be gave off. So you have to make sure that not only are you choosing them correctly, but you have to use them in the proper form. So this is the point, and there are only 4 of them. So I am going to give you a couple of minutes and then I will reveal the answers. So I will start your timer. 2 minutes. You have, let's count how many phrases we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Lot of them. So every line has, I believe, a couple of blanks. You have to choose which one you want. You have to also make sure that you use them in the correct form. Try this now. This is not your homework. I've already started your timer. You have about a minute and 15 seconds. It's fun to do it on your own, and then when you get it right, you do really feel great about it, rather than just waiting for me to reveal the answers. That's not good. Read the sentences properly to understand what meaning you want to convey with the phrase you will use. Another 40 seconds. Please write down the entire sentence in the notepad, not just the correct phrase. And I'm once again telling you, you don't have to just choose the correct phrase, you have to use it in the correct form. So when I give you the answer, you'll find out that the forms are also changed. It's not just the choice that you have to make correctly. 15 seconds more before I reveal the correct answers. Okay, time is up, and now it is my turn to give you the answers. So this is what it is, and I'm sure whenever such a thing happens, you're just as excited as I am. You want to check if your answers are right. Let me bring myself in the corner, in the bottom right hand corner. You will see me now. Okay, so let us see if you have the correct answers. The first one. He got out of bed and came down to the living room to see if the doctor was closed. By the way, the doctor was closed, I suppose. Yeah, is it? I wonder. Anyway, next one. There you go. To enjoy the music and relax, he had to turn on the music and turn off the lights. Third one, Smita had to give in to her desire, that means surrender, and give out her favorite toys to the poor. That's a noble act she did, but of course everybody loves their toys. The next one and the last one, you should work into mathematics so that you can work out a problem. I hope that you got all 4 correct. Very important. Did you? Let me know in the comments if you were able to get all 4. Time to go to the next one. In the textbook, you have this interesting assignment, and I'm telling you it's damn interesting because they have asked us to prepare a word list, and they want us to provide occupations in the alphabetical order and from A to T. Now what I have done is, I don't want to stop at T. Why should we stop at T? So what I have done is, in fact, I have not skipped any letter. We will do it from A to Z. That's always better. Why stop at T? So I'm now going to ask you to think for 2 minutes and come up with an occupation starting from each letter, from A through Z. So you should have 26 occupations for each letter, one for each letter. Okay, so 2 minutes. Try to jot them down quickly, and I will now start your timer. Don't stop at T. I'm telling you that. Do not stop at T. I want you guys to go ahead till Z. So make sure that you do it all the way till Z. Don't stop at T. And also, I don't want you to skip K and Q. Don't skip that. The textbook has asked you to skip K and Q. I don't know why. They want to make it easy for you. Well, I don't want it to be easy for you. Take it. You don't skip K and Q and go on even after T. So U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. They have provided you with 3. A, actor, B, banker, C, carpenter. Write it down as and when you can think of something. I hope you're getting it. Let me bring out the timer in a different manner. Now you have about 45 seconds more. Hope you are getting them. About 30 seconds more. Some of you may say, sir, the time was very short. Okay, let us see how many you managed. Even if you could not go through all the 26 letters, let us see how many you managed. Last 10 seconds. Time is up, guys. Time is up. And now be honest and tell me, could you think of all 26? Nah, I don't think so. If you could, you're great. You know, take a bow from me if you could, because I allotted only a couple of minutes. That's 13 letters in a minute. And you have to think about Q and K and Z. Great. It is now my turn to share the occupations that I shortlisted. You could have your own answers. I'm not saying that my answers are only correct, but I have just shared, my opinion. So just see, and in case you didn't get a few, you can make note. And I'm going to give you a couple of minutes for jotting them down. There you go. So I'm going to start the countdown timer. Jot them down in 2 minutes in case you did not get some. So I will now read them out. A, actor. B, banker. C, carpenter. I believe the lesson gave us, the textbook already had provided this. D, doctor. E is for engineer. F is for farmer. G, guide. H, hairdresser. I is interior designer. I bet many people must have written that. J is jeweler. K is for key maker. L is for a librarian. M is musician. Well, musician should not have been tough because the lesson was about music. N is nutritionist. O is for ophthalmologist. Ophthalmologist. Guys, that is the sound of the F sound. Ophthalmologist. Someone who is an optician. He checks the vision and recommends the right lens. P is for photographer. Q, now this was important. Q is for quality analyst. You can Google this later. R is for real estate agent. S is for a script writer. T, I thought trainer was the best option. U is for underwriter. You can of course Google them if you don't know what these occupations are. V is for a vet. W is for a welder. X is an X-ray operator. X-ray operator. You thought X would, I believe everybody would have written an X-ray operator. I really don't think anybody wrote anything. Well, there is one, Xerox machine operator, if you want me to give you an option. Y is for a yoga instructor. So my Indian students, if you did not get that, very bad. And Z is for zookeeper. And some people might have also written zoologist. The time is up and we did a fantastic job. And I want to ask my students, did you get Y as yoga teacher? Fantastic. Let me know in the comments, what did you write for Q, what did you write for Y, what did you write for Z, and of course X. Let me know. It was interesting. There is more to the textbook. There are quite a few interesting exercises coming your way. After this, we have the comparison of adjectives. We have dealt with a couple of examples while we were studying the lesson. Here they have asked you to just fill in the blanks. And to be honest, this can be your homework. I really want you to do this as your homework. So I am not going to discuss the answers. However, there's one point I want to share with you. And what is that point? Let me come on camera. So I will be in the bottom right corner. Now you'll see me. So my point is, guys, that there are cases where two answers are correct. Look at the first one. For the first one, I am not dash my friend. Well, you can definitely say I am not taller than my friend. And you can also say I am not just as tall as my friend. Both are correct. So be careful for such questions. I mean, they clearly should provide only one correct answer, but here clearly there are two correct answers. So I don't mind you writing any one. But yeah, let us take this as homework. After this, one more important thing about homework. I'm definitely going to talk about the homework, and let me come on cam for that. I have liked the idea that some students told me that emailing me their work is okay. So there is one student who has provided me homework on my Telegram channel, I believe. I shared it in the last lecture. There are 2 or 3 probably who just shared it on WhatsApp, and then there are others who emailed me. Okay, but there are a lot who have not shared their homework yet. So please make sure that you do that. Take it seriously. I got to do that. And this is also homework. The last slide, the degree comparison, and there will be more. There will be more. So let's get back to the lesson for more exercises. This is word chain. I remember discussing this with you in the very first lecture for our SSC series for the academic year 2020-2021. That word chain is a very important question. Word chain is nothing but the antakshari with words. So what do you mean by that? I mean, the last letter becomes the first letter for the next word. So look at this. The last letter here is D. See here, end. And so the next word begins with D, danger. That's a word chain. So using this knowledge, you will have to complete the word chain. I'm going to start the countdown timer and try to make your own word chain. I'm sure you will think of good words. They haven't attached any condition to it, guys. In fact, that is why I think 1 minute will be enough here. So I'm going to discuss the answer after a minute. Although the timer might be for 2 minutes, I think 1 minute is enough here. Complete the word chain. No conditions attached as to what the word should be. Just English words. The ending letter should be the starting letter for the next one. 20 more seconds. This is one of the questions to be studied for the language study section. That's why I was referring to that first lecture I took on paper pattern, syllabus, and the marking scheme, weightage. We discussed that in the first lecture. I recommend that people should, the people watch that. Okay, your time is up. I told you that this is just for a minute. And now time for me to reveal. What I feel you could have done is this. So the first is stable, ends with E, end ends with D, danger. Anger ends with R, rich ends with H, happy. Well, yellow ends with W, wing ends with G, garden. I hope that you also got the word chains correct. Time for us now to move to the next one. Music is the medicine of the mind. Narrate an experience that leads to the above conclusion. Write it in your own words in your notebook. Okay, now let me come on cam to share this. But of course, there is one more thing before I come on cam for that. The 12th question in the textbook. You will come across many famous personalities. Go to the library and search on the internet for the following names and write a few lines about the personalities given below. Albert Einstein, then you have Bach, then you have Bing Crosby and John McCormack. I've already during the explanation urged you to go to Wikipedia, find out more about these guys, these gentlemen. And this is for your homework, guys. I was talking about the homework, and there you go. This is your homework. Now let's get back to the first question. I was wanting to come on camera to discuss this with you. Music is the medicine of mind, and you have to narrate an experience that leads to above conclusion. Now, how will you get that done? Imagine this: that you were going for your exams. Let's say, and then unfortunately you saw that someone on the road was fallen unconscious. You went to the person, you helped the person, you went with him to the doctors, you fed him water, okay, bought him the medicine, and now you realize that you're late for the exam and you're in stress. What you did is you sat at a particular place and you used your headphones, and for some time, probably for a few minutes, you listened to some soothing music just to calm yourself down, because probably you were in trauma. Something like that is what you saw for the very first time. In a matter of a few minutes, you probably felt rejuvenated. It eased you out. It made you comfortable. You went to the school for the exam. You explained to your supervisor what happened. You were late by, let's say, about 20-25 minutes. And surprisingly, because you listened to some good music, you were in a perfect frame of mind and you wrote the exam very well. That is the time you realized that music is indeed close to our mind. And that is a good medicine. That is what the topic is. What was the topic? The topic was that music is the medicine of the mind. Did you like that? I was just giving you an example. It's not quintessential that you always follow what I say. I was just giving you a sample, an example of what you could write. Of course, you're free to write something on your own. I'm sure you can come up with even better ideas. Shared one idea. This is your homework. So again, make sure that you can share it on WhatsApp. You can email me. By the way, some people ask me, sir, we wanted to email you, but we don't know your email ID. So I'm going to share it right away. Let me pull up the notepad for that. So I'm going to now type my email ID. My email is happeningamaya@gmail.com. happeningamaya@gmail.com. Mind you, be very particular with the spelling. Happening Amaya. Amaya is EAMEYA. That's the name of the channel. happeningamaya@gmail.com. So this is my email. And now you have no excuses not sending me the homework. There were quite a few said that we don't know the email. So shared my email with you. You can send your either snapshot of your notepad when you write this, or you can send me a Word file. Telegram channel, we shared it the last time, okay? And of course you can share it on WhatsApp if you want. So you have all now the ways to share the homework with me. Do that. Let's get back and study more. There's something important we are going to study today. What's that? It's coming up. Yeah, this is important. I really want you to understand this, guys. This is the most important exercise The lesson is over, but I think if there's something that this video will really be important for apart from the lesson, it is this. Imagine you are the monitor of the class. You are asked to conduct an interview of a famous scientist who is in your city or your village. Frame about 8 to 10 questions with the help of the following points: early life and education, interest for this particular field, any inspiration, your guru or your mentor, inventions and awards, future plans, and advice message to youngsters. So we definitely have to deal with the points provided and frame about 8 to 10 questions. This is a very important assignment. However, let me come on cam to say something even more important than this exercise. Now you will say, sir, what is the most important thing? According to the changed syllabus, you don't have this particular question where you need to frame the questions. So then why are we doing it? It is just to improve your language skill. So anytime that you are in a position of authority where you have to draft some good questions, don't ask some silly questions. So that's why we are doing this. I repeat, you don't have this as a part of your 10th standard paper pattern. You won't be asked this question. This is to improve your communication skill. So what are the 10 questions you could ask? How to get those 10 questions? That is what you will learn. How to communicate. Imagine you have a chance to talk to a scientist. It should make sense when you talk. You want to make a good impression. That's why this is important. Let us dive straight into the topic. And this is what I feel you should do. First of all, let's provide an introduction. Good morning and welcome, Dr. Pranav Agnihotri. Of course, a fictitious name. I am the monitor of 10th A of the Merit High School. On behalf of all of us, I would like to thank you for giving us this opportunity to meet you and ask a few questions about your life and work. I am sure that this will benefit and inspire a lot of our students. So let me start with your permission. What a beautiful and a simple introduction. I'm sure guys you liked it. Simple introduction. Students forget to provide the introduction at times. What's next? Now we'll start with the questions. So first one could be, tell us about your early life and what inspired you to study. Who was your motivation and why? So this is about the mentor. From which medical college did you finish your graduation or did you graduate? You have specialized in biological engineering. Is there a reason or an incident that made you choose this field in particular? It's a very good question, guys. So whatever the personality does, ask why it has been their choice. Whom do you attribute your success to? Could you tell us something about the project you're currently working on? So also a very good question talking about what is keeping them busy right now. You have been conferred with numerous awards, prizes for your noteworthy contribution and research. How does that feel? What a beautiful framing of the question. You have been conferred with numerous awards and prizes for your noteworthy contribution and research. How does that make you feel? The next one. I've provided 10 questions, guys. Many students wish to take up science and become a scientist like you. Sir, what will your message be for those students? Such an inspiring question, guys. You are the monitor. You'll have many students watching this. So you have to ask such personalities this question that will inspire your friends and fellow students more. Ninth one, the penultimate one. What more can the government do to make India a leader in the field of biological engineering? So you should ask this question, that what is it in the field chosen by the personality that the government can do to make India prosper, and what is your goal and mission in life? Let me come on cam to share something important. I have framed 10 good questions, and now those 10 questions are important. You can of course go back to the video and study them. But what is more important is how to get these good questions. I'm going to share the secret. I will say this yet again, that this is not going to be asked in the exam. You don't have framing questions for the changed syllabus, but this will help improve your communication and use of ability to use the English language better, of course, to improve. So the technique to frame good questions is as follows. What you should remember to do is this. In order to frame good questions, the technique is quite simple. You should divide the life of the personality into 3 time zones. So you should have past life to talk about, you should talk about the present life, and of course you should talk about the personality's future life, and then get 10 questions or 8 questions, 9 questions, whatever are required. Now we have done exactly the same whilst framing these questions, and we are now going to see that how we did that. Observe these questions. The first 3 were based on the past life. Let me change the color. There's already a lot of red here. So this one, tell us about your early life. So this is definitely about the past, early life. Who was your motivation, past life? From which medical college did you graduate, past? Very important, guys. So the fundamental is that you used past life to present 3 questions. I hope you're getting this point and you're loving it. So we use the personality's past to frame 3 good questions. That's nice. Now on to the present life. Of course, you got the point now. For the present, the first one, you have specialized in biological engineering, is present tense. Is there something that made you choose this? Whom do you credit or attribute your success to? What is the project you are currently working on? And how do you feel that you know that you have been conferred with so many prizes? All of these questions deal with the present tense. Again, I'm saying that you should appreciate the point that I want to make. Sometimes the ideas are very simple. And you got 7 good questions, 3 from the past, 4 from the present, got 7 good questions. And now, of course, the future. So let us see, even in the future, you could frame good questions. So the future, you could make these questions. These are what we, managed. What will your message be for the students? What more can the government do that will make India a better power in terms of biological engineering? And what is your mission in life for the life to come? All this will deal with the future. Now, I have no doubt, guys, that you thoroughly enjoyed this. It's very important that you are able to use language in order to frame such beautiful questions, be able to talk to personalities, be able to express your views, and contribute in a meaningful way. And by the way, time for me to tell you that it is time for us to stop the lecture. It has been great. We finished the second part. 3.2 is over. And now the next time we meet, we are going to start with the next chapter. Up until next time, do take care. Stay home, stay safe during the times of this COVID-19. Until next time, bye-bye. Do send the homework.